My name is Shira Cortez, and this is Drunk Queer History. Today, we're going to be talking about Princess Diana and the AIDS epidemic. Oh God. Marley, stop being an attention seeker. This is for Princess Diana. Our story begins. Lady Diana Spencer, 16 years old, the sister to the godson and the goddaughter of the Queen Mother, meets Charles, Windsor, Wales, the Prince of Wales, the heir to the English throne. He's 29, she's 16. They got married because Charles was in his 30s and Queen Elizabeth was like, you need to get married. You are getting to an age where you need to get married. And I think Diana would be a great person for that. Diana, at 20 years old, becomes the Princess of England. Can I help you, Marley? I love it when I need silence. She decides it's dinner time. So she's 20 when she marries Prince Charles in 1981. But she was, she's 20 and she's quirky. And so she says, all of these jewelers want to create this custom ring for me. I don't want that. I want something out of a catalog. It's gonna be great. Then it came to the wedding and she was like, you know what? I'm 20 years old. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna obey my husband. I'm coming from an era of feminists. And I don't think that that's an okay thing to promise someone, that you're gonna obey them. She refused to say that she would obey Charles. Can you imagine being 20 and getting married and suddenly all of this shit is happening to you? The Queen is like, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. You need to be the perfect royal because you have married the prince. And she, after their nuptials, she had a very difficult time adjusting to royal life. She asked for a lot of help. And the Queen was initially very sympathetic. She was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you my favorite lady in waiting. Her name is Susan. Sue. I'm gonna give you Sue. Sue's gonna teach you everything you need to know about being a royal at Windsor Palace. So Sue is like, so you need to do this, you need to do that, you can't go out, you can't really have you can't do it whatever you want to do, you are being watched, you're the princess. And she was like, cool, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna go party, I'm gonna go have fun, because the people love me, and that's really what matters. The same year of 1981, there was something going on in America. Doctors were starting to take notice that there was something going on with the immune systems of a lot of gay men. They would be, admitted for pneumonia and have these very compromised immune systems. I'm gonna try to say the word. Immunocompromised. So America was like, something's happening to these men. It's a strange occurrence. It's very perplexing. It's very troubling. And by 1983, America and France were like, okay, here's what's going on. It's AIDS. It's AIDS, and they know why AIDS is happening. They say people who are infected are sharing blood, semen. All the straight people were like, okay, this is terrifying. We are just gonna actively avoid anything having to do with AIDS. So they identified that. They said, this is AIDS. We're gonna call it AIDS. The CDC was like, this is AIDS. This is the AIDS epidemic. In 1984, Ryan White, an American teenager, wholesome, all-American hemophiliac from Indiana, got a blood transfusion and there was AIDS in it. He wasn't allowed back into his school because he was given tainted blood. Tainted blood. This is bullshit. You're not letting me back into school. It's my right to have an education. And you guys are so afraid of misconceptions. I'm gonna die, but at least let me get my fucking education. And they said, no, you're a hemophiliac. You got a bad blood transfusion. We're afraid of you because you have HIV/AIDS. And he said, well, fuck that. I'm now the public face of AIDS in America. I'm a wholesome teen boy, and I'm changing the opinions. In 1986, there was a campaign called Don't Die of Ignorance. It was a straightforward public health campaign that raised awareness through television advertisements and leaflets mailed to the home of every British citizen. Basically, it said, don't be an idiot, don't be homophobic, you can die from this. Be educated, be smart about this. You know, we don't want you to die, you pay taxes. This is how it's spread. Straight people can get it. This child got it, you know, this Ryan dude. This Ryan fella. Probably like around that same time in the next few years, Diana went to the Queen and was like, you know what I want to do? I would like to go and do some like AIDS involvement. And the Queen was like, oh my God, could you do something nice? You can't fit in with us, and now you want to do something so controversial yet so brave. Can you just like donate to puppies? Or like something that's like not terrifying to the world. Diana was like, no, this is important. I need to do it. There's all these misconceptions about AIDS and how it's spread, and I would like to do some help. I'm, you know, the most famous woman in the world right now, and it would mean a lot for me to support these men who are going through this. I want to be a public figure, and I want to support them. On April 19th, 1987, she opened the UK's first HIV/AIDS ward in London Middlesex Hospital. She says, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna fix people's misconceptions of this. I'm gonna make a stir because this is what needs to happen. Consultants at the hospital, like, she showed up, they were like, that's really great. This little blonde bitch is here to give money, and she's like, AIDS. The consultants were like, Diana, here's a picture of a chest x-ray. What do you think this is, you little dumb, simple broad? And she was like, okay, boomer. She said, okay, I know you think I'm an idiot, but actually, I am the patron of the British Lungs and Heart Foundation, so like, of course I fucking know what a chest x-ray looks like. You know, I understand a little bit of medicine. And everyone was like, okay, like, she's opening up this wing, like, she's gonna have protection. And she was like, no, I don't need protection. I'm just gonna like shake their hands and like hug them and make sure they know that they like are being cared for. She shook everyone's hands. She shook the doctor's hands. She shook the nurse's hands. Everyone's hands. She said, I don't want to see a glove. I do not want to see a glove in this hospital unless you need a glove. But you don't need a glove right now. And so all the patients are scared. They were like, okay, there's so much stigma around this. I don't want to be involved with this. Publicity, she's the most famous woman in the world. This photo is gonna be in every newspaper. It's gonna bring such shame to us, to our families. You know, there's all these misconceptions about it. Except for this one man, his name was Ivan Cohen. At the time, he did not want this known though, because he said, okay, you know what, I understand, this is important. I have one stipulation, I will shake her hand, but I do not want to be photographed from the front, and my face will not be shown. My name will not be disclosed. I will just, from the back, you have to photograph me from the back. And they're like, you know what, that's okay, we just want Diana's face anyway. So she, you know, shook his hand, and that was like a picture that was spread throughout the world. All the nurses and everyone was like, okay, so she's a royal. She's the most famous woman in the world. She is shaking this man's hand, this, you know, sick man. If Princess Diana can touch someone with AIDS, I can touch someone with AIDS. Maybe we don't understand how this disease is spread. In 1987, the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, ACT UP, was a nonpartisan direct action activist organization founded in New York City. This year also, Ronald Reagan acknowledged that AIDS was a thing when he rejected safe sex education. So one step forward, like 8 steps back. She was a frequent visitor of the London Lighthouse, which was a day center for people with AIDS that opened in 1986. You know, she hugged Brazilian children with AIDS and HIV. You know, she visited AIDS patients in Toronto. She did all this stuff. And she gave a speech in 1991 about how you need to show them compassion. You need to be like, you know what, you're going through something really hard. I just spit a little. You know, they're very sad. Hug an AIDS patient. They need it because, you know, it's such a misconception about, like, you know, the diseases and stuff. A lot of people are afraid to give them affection. You know, they're not getting love from their families because their families are afraid. We should care about people who have AIDS. They are people, and they are going through something, and it doesn't hurt us to be nice to them. it doesn't hurt us to like help them in any way that we can. She really took it into her own hands and said, I have the power to change the conversation. And she did. She changed the conversation. She made AIDS patients people. You know, she did so much for the AIDS epidemic, but she also did so much for just like gays in general. She was the people's princess. She shared her struggles. She wasn't just like this stoic face. She was a person. She was like, I can either be myself or I can either be the perfect person that I can be in this society. You know, I can fill my societal role. And she had this struggle, and she said, you know what, I'm gonna be myself. And a lot of gay people were like, you know what, if Diana can do it, I can do it. And they, you know, they came out and they were like, you know what, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, Diana's compassionate and she's lovely and she doesn't fit a societal mold, and I don't need to either. Prince Harry, you know what he did? He loves his mom. He said, I'm gonna marry a woman who reminds me of her, but not in a creepy way, in an empowering way. And he said, I'm gonna keep up the causes that she cared about because she could have done so much more while she was alive. She was 26 when she changed the AIDS crisis for the better. That's crazy. If you think about it, like she died when she was 36, 10 years later. 10 years! The Queen herself has said, where would we be without Diana? And I don't know. I really don't know. Thank you. No. This production was produced by Marley. She is the daughter I never had, the sister I always wanted, the friend everyone deserves. She's also a bitch.